After debris was found close to the Titanic wreck off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada, the US Coast Guard declared last June that the Titan ship had catastrophically imploded. When the ship ventured to look into the Titanic wreck on Sunday, June 18, it initially lost contact with its mothership. All 5 passengers on board died as a result of the implosion. In the wake of the occurrence, OceanGate has drawn widespread condemnation, and an investigation into it is currently underway. The evidence will give investigators from several international jurisdictions critical insights into the cause of this tragedy, said Jason Neubauer, chair captain of the Marine Board of Investigation. There is still a lot of work to be done to understand the factors that contributed to the Titan's catastrophic loss and help ensure a tragedy like this doesn't happen again, according to the statement released. According to reports, a number of features of the sub's design, such as the use of carbon fiber in building its hull, were noted as potential dangers. Likewise, one OceanGate employee even referred to the submersible as an accident waiting to happen in a leaked email. Rob McCallum, a former employee of OceanGate, previously told Insider that the company's approach to engineering was ad hoc and ultimately incorrect. McCallum once said of the Titan sub that it looked like a home-built go-kart. The Titan sub only made it to the wreckage location, which is located at a depth of roughly 13,000 feet below sea level, on about 13 out of 90 dives, according to a company passenger waiver that was discovered. Insider studied a waiver that was signed by a prospective passenger, and it said that the sub has only successfully made as few as 13 dives of 3,800 meters to the bottom of the Titanic. This implied that OceanGate, the business that used the word experimental 3 times in the 4-page liability disclaimer, may have only finished only 14% of its dives to the debris site depths. After 5 persons perished aboard one of its submersibles last June, OceanGate has now ceased all business and exploratory activities. The current statement on the website is that OceanGate has suspended all commercial and exploration operations. Likewise, the experimental sub was damaged by a lightning strike in the Bahamas, according to the CEO of OceanGate. Rush had stated in an interview years prior to the North Atlantic catastrophe that his vessel had been damaged after being struck by lightning while he was stationed in the Caribbean. The Titan went out on a test dive in 2018 when it was struck, though the CEO and co-founder claimed that it didn't seriously harm the sub. Thankfully, it wasn't a direct hit, he said to Teledyne Marine's Matt Burdeny. We most likely would have been destroyed if a direct hit had been made on the carbon fiber. Although that interview has since been taken down from Teledyne's website, it can still be found online and on YouTube. Another potentially incriminating story claims that Rush instructed passengers to sleep after the ship's battery died during a dive at great depth. Rush allegedly advised passengers to sleep when the batteries malfunctioned as a result of problems using the drops for the weights, because it would take the weights 24 hours to dissolve before the ship rose to the surface. As a passenger on that trip, videographer Jaden Pan stated, "At first I thought he was joking because we were over 2 hours into our expedition and so close to the bottom." The submarine, according to Pan, was 2 football fields away from the debris when the battery died. Meanwhile, India is building a submersible, and the OceanGate Titan submersible served as inspiration for the design. The Matsya 6000 is being built as part of India's efforts to descend to the ocean floor and look for potentially accessible valuable metals. The submersible has been in development for 2 years, during which time its design was influenced by the OceanGate sub-Titan. It is anticipated that the submersible will conduct its maiden trials in early 2024. The OceanGate vessel had some influence on the creation of the Matsya, Sanskrit for fish, but with time it has become clearer to the sub-developers what they should avoid rather than what they should try to imitate. The Matsya can carry 3 divers, and is designed to dive to a depth of 6,000 meters. It often stays below for 12 to 16 hours, but it has a 96-hour oxygen reserve because it's always pleasant to return to the surface with some air left over. The interior of one of these submersibles may be pretty small, but it isn't quite the safety issue that OceanGate's vessel turned out to be. Numerous assertions were made in the wake of the Titan's tragedy that OceanGate had been repeatedly cautioned about the safety of their sub, without success. One of the primary issues raised about the deadly submersible was that it didn't come close to meeting safety regulations, with misgivings aired over the sub's mostly carbon fiber hull. The Matsya, on the other hand, is built from titanium, since scientists chose against using the same material as the Titan for their sub. Biomedical engineer Rachel Lance said that while OceanGate had claimed to be using innovation in the designs of its subs, it was actually doing things that had previously been shown to be ineffective. The Titan was destroyed by pressures roughly 380 times higher than those found on Earth, but the Mattia 6000 is designed to endure pressures roughly 600 times higher than those found on Earth. It is necessary for submarines that want to constantly descend to the ocean floor to be composed of stronger materials than carbon fiber, which is why the idea of building the Mattia out of carbon fiber like the Titan was finally rejected. Next year, testing of the Mattia 6000 is anticipated to start in the Bay of Bengal. Back into the investigation, footage and pictures of the titansubmersible debris have been made public. According to one expert, these images and videos lend credence to the idea that the Titan's carbon fiber hull was what ultimately caused the destructive implosion. Likewise, footage and pictures obtained before the ruins were transferred for further investigation have been analysed by Jasper Graham Jones, Associate Professor of Mechanical and Marine Engineering at Plymouth University. Graham Jones told Insider that while it is difficult to draw a definitive judgment from the photographs alone, the most likely scenario was that the ship's carbon fiber hull gave way under the intense pressure of the ocean's depths. According to another theory, the Titan's small front viewport actually gave way first. The submersible's structural titanium rings, which were supported by the ship's titanium rings, are seen in photos to be in good condition, proving that they were not the ship's weak point. Insider reports that the Titan from OceanGate has 2 titanium rings bound to the carbon fiber hull, with the expert stating that the rings seem to have held firm. It demonstrates that titanium was the best material to utilize and that the composite may have been the incorrect choice for joining, he said. Other images revealed that the ship's front viewport appears to have broken, with the only thing visible through the porthole being the red cable device that was used to raise the ship out of the water. Graham Jones told Insider that while it wasn't impossible that the procedure removed the acrylic viewport to make place for the red cable, he claimed it wasn't plausible. He said they could have lifted it in a bag. The window is gone, therefore it appears to have failed. Thus, the obvious question is that did the window fail first, or did another component of the sub fail, with the viewport merely being blown out in the aftermath of the implosion? According to the expert, via Insider, the most significant portion of the footage is that it doesn't look that any sizable chunks of the carbon fiber hull were recovered during the procedure. Even while it's possible that these parts were just not visible in the video, Graham Jones told Insider that this is a sign that the hull is what most likely failed first. He said that if the viewport had given up first, the pressure on the hull would have been less intense than if the window and the hull both failed, which would have caused the ship to implode. Last but not least, images depict piping that was originally within the submarine and was enclosed in a metal cage that was attached to the carbon fiber hull. According to him, the joint must be sturdy enough to penetrate the carbon and leave carbon on the piece. However, since it doesn't appear to have happened, the expert clarifies that there are 2 possibilities for what the absence of visible carbon fiber on the tubes could signify. Either the joint failed, or it is probably additional confirmation that the carbon fiber shell was the first to perish before splintering into so many tiny pieces that remnants wouldn't be seen on the joints. Graham Jones claims that, given the available evidence, the most likely scenario is that the hull failed first. A forensic investigation is currently being conducted to determine the precise series of circumstances that resulted in the eventual catastrophic implosion. Investigators would effectively look at all the parts under a microscope, he claimed, which should finally give you an idea of how it failed. And that ends today's episode. You can suggest topics you want to see next in the comment section below. Please subscribe to Weather Collapse if you want to know more, and be updated on the latest news about natural calamities or disasters happening all over the world, and don't forget to like today's video. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.